So dear friends, welcome to FA Medical Lectures. Today we will talk about the ascending and descending tracts, and this will be the continuation of the neuroanatomy and neurophysiology. In previous lecture, introduction to the neuroanatomy and neurophysiology, I have talked in detail about the sensory system, motor system. In the sensory system, general sensations, special sensations, what are they, why called so, and their distinguishing or differentiating point. I have also mentioned about the somatic sensations and visual sensations. In the same way, in the system, motor system, I have talked about the two types of the response, mainly the voluntary and involuntary response. Voluntary response we also call as the somatic motor response, and the involuntary autonomic nervous system. And this autonomic nervous system I have talked in the separate lecture. You can go and watch in the YouTube channel, my YouTube channel. So moral of the story was that in that central nervous system being a control system or regulatory system of our body, what it will do, it will collect information from throughout the body through the sensory system, and that information will be processed, will be integrated, will be compared, will be contrast, and the appropriate response will be sent through the motor system if needed. And sometimes if the response is not needed, it will not send the response, but most of the time it will send the response through the motor system. Now we will talk about the tracts. So before I really go into the tract, I will again review this central nervous system briefly and some frequently encountered terms, terminology I will first discuss. Then uh, move into the I will move into the tract system properly, and why this tract system is needed, my dear. In your medical and paramedical exams, you will be asked most of the time long question like discuss about the anterolateral system or touch pen temperature, pathway, or you might be asked like discuss about the medial column dorsal lemniscal pathway. These all are the ascending tracts, and there will be the descending tracts as well, like corticospinal tracts. There will be the medullary and extramedullary tracts. So all these you have to know for the exam point of the view, and you as a medical doctor, a medical professional, you have to also know this normal physiology first to know the normal function of these tracts, and what clinical consequences, what clinical signs and symptoms will occur if there will be the defect in this pathway, there will be the lesions in this, if there will be the lesions in this pathway, and the sign and symptoms or clinical findings will be different according to the site of the lesion, type of the lesion, and involvement of the lesion. So to know all these, and in the clinical setup, you as a doctor or medical professional, you have to diagnose the case. If there is any irregularity, if there is any deformity, or if there is any lesions, you have to diagnose the case according to the sign and symptoms, what this disease or lesion could be. And in the diagnosis, you cannot only diagnose the case solely on the basis of the clinical findings and history. You have to also take different technological support, and in this age there is many advancement in the science and technology as well. So having said that, you have to take the support from the technology. It doesn't mean that clinically uh, clinically you don't have to know about the consequences of the different types of the lesions in the tract system or in this pathway. In this pathway you have to know, uh, just to confirm that you will be taking the technological help and support. So this is the significance in the clinical setup. Besides question and answer in your undergraduate level, medical and paramedical, MBBS, BDS and other allied sciences. Okay, so before I really go into the topic, let's talk about the what is the gray matter and what is the white matter. Can you answer please? And I have drawn here some pictures to save the time, so that I will not consume so much your time. Gray matter and white matter. Can you answer please? Comment down. White matter. And don't say like it appears gray so it is gray and it appears white so it is white. And I will not be surprised if you answer like that, because I don't know why in the Viva a student generate and become so much creative that they will create their own words, their own answer and their own explanation. Dear friends, I a humble request to you all that please be creative throughout the year while studying, not in the exam. In the exam, please give answer, authentic answer according to the standard book or taught by your professors. So okay, leave that. So what is gray and white matter? Dear friend, before I will explain this, uh, in the nervous system what is there, mainly there are two types of the cells. One is the neurons, one is the neurons, you know it, and other will be the neuroglial cells. Neuroglial cells. So neurons basically are the functional component of the nervous system, and also it forms the structural part too. And this neuroglial cells or neuroglia is nothing that it is the supporting cell. They are the supporting cells of the central nervous system, same as like the connective tissue. So these neurons I will draw, and these neurons will be of multiple types. Like there will be the pseudo unipolar neurons, unipolar neuron, bipolar neuron, and multipolar neurons. And this you have to know according to the location, and this will be asked in MCQs too. Like bipolar neurons is found in the uh, retina, in the olfactory mucosa of the nose. So these are the like olfactory receptors and the visual receptors, rod and cortex, rod and cones, they are the bipolar neurons. And dorsal root ganglia are the pseudo unipolar neurons. Okay, this will talk in different lecture. I will talk about these in different lecture. So I am talking here white matter and gray matter. So I will draw here a multipolar neurons. Multipolar neurons. Let's suppose this is the cell body, and from this cell body, there are multiple processes this is just for understanding purpose. Please try to understand multiple processes. This processes we call the dendrites, 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 and this soma, this we call as the soma or cell body, cell body, cell body, and there will be long process, one long process in the multipolar neurons. This long process might be myelinated to this is the myelin sheath. This might be the myelinated too. So this long process we call as the axons, 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 and this will be the axon terminals, of course, axon terminals, terminals. So dear friend, this collection of the cell body, collection of the cell body will be called as the gray matter, gray matter, and this axon will be called as the white matter, white matter, or will form the white matter. Let's suppose this is the balloon, and let's assume this balloon, these balloons are the cell body, these balloons are the cell body. So this collection of cell body will be called as the gray matter, will be called as the gray matter, and this collection of the axons we call it as the white matter. And of course in the gray matter there will be the high vascularity according to the need, and in the gray matter there will be the less vascularity, and white matter and gray matter both will contain the supporting cells, that is neuroglial cells too. So this is about the white matter and gray matter. Now as we have talked about the white and gray matter, now let's understand what is the tract. So what is the tract? And before moving on to that, in the central nervous system there are basically three types of the fiber. This axon we call as the fiber, nerve fiber 2. So there will be basically three types of the fiber. One is the projection fiber, and projection fiber, for the sake of convenience I have drawn here photo. This projection fiber that will connect the central nervous system to and forth in the cranio-caudal direction, cranio-caudal direction. See here, from this is the spinal cord to the cerebral cortex, from the synapsing at also at the medulla, thalamus, because all the ascending fibers will relay or synapse in the thalamus. So thalamus is the large collection of, or very large structure of the gray matter, because there are the collection of the cell body, and some fibers may come down from the cerebral cortex to the spinal cord and some other structures, like from here the fibers may go to the cerebellum, may go to the brainstem, reticular area, that may go in other structure too. But for the tract, the projection fiber having common origin and common termination, and some authorities also believe that their function should also be similar, and most of the time this happens. So let's see here, fiber originating from the spinal cord and going to the thalamus and then to the cerebral cortex. So this is the spinothalamic tract or ascending tract. In the same way, some fibers originating in the cerebral cortex and coming down to the spinal cord and terminating at the spinal cord. So common origin, common termination, making a bundle running in caudal direction, we call as the tract. This is about the tract. Now, and two other types of the fiber also are there in the central nervous system, like two cerebral hemispheres, right and left cerebral hemispheres will be connected by the fiber that called commissural fibers, and please don't forget, the biggest example of the commissural fiber is the corpus callosum. My dear, corpus callosum connect right and left hemispheres, and by doesn't mean that it connect structurally only. No, this connection will be functionally, meaning that functions or message information from the right hemisphere will be carried to the left and vice versa. And there are some other types of the commissural fibers also. Then one more fiber type is that the some fiber may be connecting the posterior part of the brain to the anterior part of the brain to, for example, occipital lobe will be connected to the frontal lobe or vice versa. These fibers are called the can you answer please? These fibers are called the association fibers, my dear. Association fibers. This will associate or it will connect structures in anteroposterior direction in the brain. So this is about the fibers. This is about the tract and other fibers, my dear. So what is the nerve? There is also a question will arise. So what is nerve? Can we call this fiber inside the central nervous system? Can we call as the nerve? No. This will be blunder, my dear. Nerve is that actually. Let's see here example. I have, for the sake of convenience, I have drawn here photo. This fiber, if this is the motor system, from the spinal cord, lower motor neurons will arise, and these lower motor neurons will be supplying the musculoskeletal system, mainly the skeletal muscles. So here is also the collection of the axons or collection of the axon fiber axons. So this collection outside the central nervous system, collection of the fibers that is axons, we called as the nerve. This actually is called as the nerve, and here this will be the motor nerve functionally, and since these are carrying sensations into the CNS, this will be the sensory nerve. So it is clear now. Okay. After all this, and same thing I have shown here in this photo too. Let's have a look. This is just for the understanding purpose, and real picture I have drawn here. My dear, let's talk about the sensory fiber. Basically, in ascending tract there are two types of the tract system. One is the anterolateral system and another is a dorsal column medial lemniscal system. Why called so and what is their specificity, I will talk in detail later. Let's understand here. This I have drawn the anterolateral system. Anterolateral system, this fiber will collect this sensory information from the periphery, and this, since this is the pseudo unipolar neuron dorsal root ganglia, DRG, Dr. G, don't call Dr. G, dorsal root ganglia. And also I am mentioning from time and again that collection of the cell body outside the central nervous system is the ganglia, and inside the collection of the cell body inside the central nervous system we call as the nuclei. So this is the dorsal root ganglia, and this is the being pseudo unipolar. What happens is that here from two projections will be one peripheral and one central projections will be projected, and some authorities older authorities, what they believe, like this central process they believe as the central process they believe as the axons, and these as the dendrites. But according to the Snell's clinical anatomy, neuroanatomy, clinical anatomy, and Condell's neural science, and some other authorities, they call both are the axons, both are the axonal projections. None of not one dendrites and one the axons. Both functionally both act as the axons. So okay, this is the basic thing, and for this lecture I have taken references from the Gray's neuroanatomy, Bidich-Rosia neuroanatomy, as well as the Snell's clinical anatomy. In the same way, Condell's neural science and some other books I have taken as a reference. So this fibers collecting the information from the periphery, what it will do, it will first come to the dorsal root ganglia, and from the dorsal root ganglia this will come to the gray matter of the spinal cord. And you know that in a spinal cord gray matter lies the centrally, and outside there will be the white matter. And in the cerebral cortex what happens is that in periphery there is the gray matter, and centrally these are the white matter. In the same way, in cerebellum there will be same thing, outside will be the gray matter and inside will be the white matter. This is the difference between the spinal cord and brain, gray matter and white matter distribution. Okay, and if this is the anterolateral system, fiber of the anterolateral system, first when it come to the gray matter, it will terminate and synapse same in the same side. See here, in the same side it will synapse, and second order neuron will originate, and this second order neuron will cross the spinal cord, cross to the opposite side, and then run ascending direction up to the thalamus, and from the thalamus what happens, here another synapse will occur, and the third order neuron will project through the, this is the internal capsule, through this internal capsule third order neuron will be projected up to the cerebral cortex. My dear, again some students get confused about the order of the neurons. So neurons, what happens, the pseudo unipolar neuron that will be connecting the information from the periphery either will synapse at this first synapse, where first synapse occur up to there, this will be the first order neuron. And when first synapse in the CNS, either here or here, first synapse in the CNS will occur, from there second order neuron will be raised, and on the second synapse, third order neuron will be arised. Means first synapse give second order neuron, second synapse give third order neuron, and so forth and so on. Like if there could be the third synapse, the neuron arising from here will be the fourth order neuron, and this will occur in case of the fourth order neurons occur in the olfactory sensations, primary cortex to the secondary cortex. Okay, leave that. And one fiber I have drawn of the dorsal column system. Let's suppose here fiber comes dorsal root ganglia, and this fiber of dorsal column system, what will happen? It will not cross to opposite side in the spinal cord, but run ipsilaterally on the same side, ipsilaterally up to the medulla oblongata. Don't call it as the medical officer. This is the medulla oblongata. This is pons. This is midbrain. So at this lower medulla oblongata, here first synapse will occur, and second order neuron will be projected to the again thalamus. Then from the thalamus, second synapse occur, and third order neuron will be projected to the cerebral cortex through the internal capsule. So here internal capsule, dear friend, two significant point is here. One is all the sensory fibers except olfactory fiber, all the sensory fiber will synapse at the thalamus, so that this thalamus is the great structure of the gray matter, because here is the collection of the cell body, and then either it will terminate here, or it will go to the cerebral cortex or some other parts of the brain. But most of the fiber will ascending fiber, again the fiber that will terminate in the mid brain stem again will not go to the this thalamus. Means not always all fiber terminate at the thalamus that go to the cerebral cortex, but olfactory fiber, in spite of going to the cerebral cortex, they do not terminate in the thalamus or relay in the thalamus. So one thing, and another thing is that this is the internal capsule, this is the caudate nucleus, this will be the lentiform nucleus. Will be having outer putamen, inner globus pallidus, and there is the internal capsule. So there must be something called as the external capsule too. This will be the external capsule, and outside the external capsule there will be the this structure is the colostrum. So anatomical part I will talk in detail about them. Now what I am trying to show is that all the fiber that will come and go away from the cerebral cortex, the only gateway is the internal capsule. So this internal capsule is the gateway, that only gate is the internal capsule through which the fibers coming and going from the cerebral cortex will be passed through, not through the other parts of the brain. Fibers only go through the internal capsule and come from the cerebral cortex to the spinal cord or other parts through this internal capsule. This is the important point. Now same thing I have shown here. This will be the ascending pathway, and this ascending pathway, this is the since this is in the periphery, we call as the dorsal root ganglia. It is the sensory nerve and sensory nerve, and this will be there will be collection of many fibers, many ascending fibers forming the tract, forming the tract, and there will be same thing, descending fibers from the cerebral cortex. Again it will come through the internal capsule and through internal capsule. Most of the descending fiber are the corticospinal tract fiber. Most of the fiber, nearly 90% fiber, will decussate or cross to the opposite side again at the medulla oblongata, and around 10% fibers will go to the spinal cord uncrossed. So this is the descending example of the descending fiber, and this green one will be the example of the ascending tract. Okay, about talking about gray and white matter, neurons, nerve, tract, and different fibers of the central nervous system. Now let's talk about the roots. So these fibers from the central nervous system or at a spinal cord level, how the sensory fiber comes and the motor fiber exits. Let's have a quick review. So dear friends, in this photo I have shown here, this is the ventral root. This is the anterior horn of the spinal cord, gray matter, anterior horn. These two are the anterior horn and these two are the posterior horn. And anterior horn we also call as the anteriorly, this aspect we also call as the ventral aspect. So this will be the ventral root, and backward or posterior horn we call as the dorsal root or posterior root. Both are same thing. This reference is taken according to the general consideration. Front part, everything on the front part or front aspect or this aspect will be considered either as the anterior or the ventral, and dorsal part or posterior part, backward part, will be considered as the dorsal or the posterior part. So and all organ follow this rule except two organ in case of the male, and one organ in case of the female. So what organ they are? Please find it out. Okay, so this will be the ventral root and this will be the dorsal root. So dorsal root, what happens is that the sensory fiber will always enter into the spinal cord through the dorsal root. Universal rule this is. And the ventral motor fiber will always exit from the ventral root. So what will happen here? Let's suppose here is a receptor and this will form pseudopolar neuron, one central process and one will be the peripheral process. And this receptor, my dear, can you define receptor? What is receptor? And as I have mentioned in the action potential lecture, the signals in the in our system, in our nervous system, signal transmits as a signals travels as a electrochemical signal that is the in the form of the action potential. The message will be transmitted or delivered. So action potential for generation of the action potential, there must be something called as the receptor, and receptor in simple word is a biological transducer. So question will arise, what is biological transducer, means what is meant by the transducer. So transducer is simply meant by anything or any device that converts any other form of the energy into the another form, one form of the energy into the another form. And here all the form of the energy like touch, pressure, pain, this also is a type of energy, and this all type of the energy will be converted into the action potential, and that action potential will transmit the message to and fro, to and forth in the nervous system. So this is about the receptor, and receptor we have some specialized receptor also, like for taste there is the taste board, for the hearing there is organ of Coti. In the same way for the light reaction, light you know this is the electromagnetic wave, visual range of the electromagnetic wave. So we have the receptor for the electromagnetic wave too. In case sometimes to confuse you, some one might ask you like, do you have the receptor for the electromagnetic receptor? Yes, it is the rod and cones. So okay, I will make a separate lecture on the receptor. Receptor is also a important topic in the physiology. So what will happen, the sensory nerve fiber will carry the information, or sensory nerve fiber will always enter into the spinal cord through the dorsal root, and if it is going to form the anterolateral system, it will synapse here and cross to the opposite side and go to the cranial, go to the brain, simply. I have shown all these about these fibers. And if this fiber is of dorsal column medial lemniscal system, it will without synapsing and crossing to the opposite side, it will go upward and synapse in the lower medulla. There it will form medial lemniscus, and that will go to the thalamus and then to the cerebral cortex. And also so question will arise, and this is the trunk, and these two are the dorsal and ventral ramus. Dorsal ramus and ventral ramus, or anterior ramus or posterior ramus. What you call ramus is this thing, this ramus, and this ramus sometimes ventral ramus form the plexus like brachial plexus, etc. In the same way, so first universal rule is that fiber coming will only go through the dorsal root, and fiber exiting fibers. Okay, let's suppose this is the motor fiber. Decussation will occur at the medulla oblongata in 90% cases. So at spinal cord level, what will happen, fiber coming in the anterolateral system will always exit through the ventral root, will always exit through the ventral root, and same will happen here too. Okay, let's rub this. Let's rub this. Now this will the dorsal root ganglia, trunk. Here it will form the dorsal rami, and this will be the ventral ramus. So at this side, also the motor fiber will exit through the ventral root, and in the same way the sensory fiber will enter through the dorsal root. And in this spinal cord, I am using time and again the lateral, anterolateral system and the dorsal system. So this dorsally this is the as shaped is a gray matter, and this dorsal part, this is the this will form the dorsal column. Dorsal column fiber will be forming dorsal column, and this is the lateral, and this is the white matter. This is the white matter placed laterally. So this will be the lateral column, and these all are the anterior column, and being similarly functionally this anterior and lateral column, we collectively call it as the anterolateral system, and this will be the dorsal system. So dorsal system, and what happens is that now question will arise, like this trunk is the mixed. Here in the trunk both motor fiber and sensory fiber is running, but question will arise, in the rami, is this also the only pure, like this dorsal rami only carry the sensory fiber and this ventral rami only carry the motor fiber? No, because this sensory from the dorsal part will be received through the dorsal rami, but sensory information also should be carried from the anterior part, and this anterior part sensory information will be collected through the ventral rami, and then the fiber uh, from here it must go into the dorsal root, and in the same way there are muscles, skeletal muscle back in also, our motor supply should be supplied in the posterior part of the posterior aspect of the dorsal aspect of the body also. So for that this motor fiber will come always come through the dorsal ventral root, sorry, it will be coming through here, ventral root always come through the ventral root, but it may go to the dorsal ramus also. So as far as I have shown here, the roots are only pure, that is dorsal root will be for the sensory nerve, and ventral root will be the for motor nerve, but trunks are mixed, and the ramus in the same way ramus are also mixed. So this is about the root or ramus or trunk, how the fiber comes. Now in next part, in part 2, I will talk mainly about the dorsal column medial lemniscal system and the anterolateral system, why they called so, and how the fiber runs in that, and what type of information, and why that information should be carried in particular tract, I will discuss in later in subsequent part. Thank you for watching.